We did Yud Aleph. Yeah, I know where we're up to. We're up to Olacheira, page Kufchaf Hey, Olacheira. Yeah. We explained last time that there's two reasons why Chasidecha Yivarechucha, why the Chasidecha have the ability to make this Hamshacha, that the Hamshacha of the Ein Seif Shebradla, of the highest level, is Nimshach Kai into Malchus. So one reason was because Chasidecha, the definition of Chasidecha is that they have Bittul. Brought down the Zayar that Chasidecha are Shemischasid, Ezo Chasid HaMischasid Im Kainai, that he's doing it not for himself, he's being kind, so to speak, to the Eibishter. And the fact that they feel this bittul, they don't feel their mitzias, that enables them to be mamshech from the level of alakos that's higher than any mitzias, which is ein seif shebiradla. The second advantage, the second definition of Chassidim, he said Chassidim are the ones who, the inyan of Chassidus is changing the keiches tivium to keiches elikim, changing the natural faculties to being godly faculties. And that brings about this hamshacha of Ein Seif Shebradla, of La'asid Lavai, that brings about the Epech Ala'amim Safa Brura, the transformation of nature, of the natural nations, to become, serving the Eibishter, to become Elikos. So these are two reasons. So seemingly, the bittul of the Chassidim, that they're Mischassidim Kainai, enables them to reach such a high level. And the aspect of Chassidim that they are the ones who transform nature telekus enables them to bring about the result of changing the nature of the world telekus, which is the result of being mamshech from Ein Seif Shebradla. And now the Rebbe is going to ask us. Olacheire mashma, it seems from what it says in that mimer of the Rebbe Rashab, she ha-hamshacha de pnimiyis atik hu al-yidei habitul de chasidach. The first attribute of Chassidim, the fact that a Chassid defines someone who's mischassidim kaina, he's not doing it for himself, he's doing it from the Eibishter. The bittul of the Chassidim is what enables them to reach the level of Elikos that's higher than Metzias, which is Ein Seif Shebradla. And the second, the result of their Hamshacha is because of their second characteristic. V'zeh sha'idei Hamshachas pnimis atik. That they bring about through their hamshacha the transformation of the nations, the transformation of nature of the world, who al yidesha keches hativim the chasidim nasim keches alikim, is through that in their own avodah they have this idea of transformation, that chassidus is transforming the nature telikos. V'tzarech lahavin, and this the Rebbe asks an obvious question. Seemingly, once someone accesses Ein Seif Shebradla, once you're mamshech the essence of Elikos, that's the essence of everything, like we said before, the Amita Simatze, like the Rambam says, the essence of the Eibishter, the emes of the Eibishter, is the reason, is the essence of every existence. So when that's drawn down, it automatically should be the result that it's Nizgala, how the essence of everything is Elikos, everything is transformed to Elikos. If the bittul of the Chassidim allows them to access and draw down Ein Seif Shebradla, so that should bring about both. Why do you need a second reason for them to bring about the result of transforming the nation's telekus? Tzarech lahavin, so the Rebbe says this seems to bring us a question. The lecheira would seem to be zeh shal yidei hamshachas gili pnimiyis at gia epichala'amim, the result of the hamshacha. The result that through being mamshech from Ein Seif Shebradla, from Pnimiyis Ak, that brings about the changing of the nations, is not a second stage, is not something additional, but it's an automatic outcome of bringing down this darg of Elikos. Ein ze inyan noisaf ala gilui. This is not something in addition to what they're being mamshech. This is an automatic outcome of bringing down this level of Elikos. Like we said earlier in the Maimer, the Kivan Sha'amitas Himatze Yisbarach Hi ha-mitzias shall kol ha-nimtzaim. Since, like the Rambam says, it's the simple math. The essence of the Eibishter is the essence of every creature, of every existing being. So when that's being nimshach, then automatically every single nivra in the world is transformed to being revealed and visibly elikos. So it should be an automatic result that through drawing down pnimis atik, which is done through their bittul, every creature in the world will see, that is its essence, that's its etzem, and therefore it will feel how it be'etzem its elikos. It will feel in every nivra shemitziyusei hi elikos, that it's true mitzias is elikos, meaning that all the nations, all the creatures in the world are transformed to elikos. Therefore, if the first characteristic of Chassidim, if the first aspect of Chassidim, which is the fact that they have bittul, they're not doing it for themselves, they're a chassid ha-mischassidim kainei, already causes that they access pnimius atik, causes that they access them and are mamshech and drawing down the essence of elikos. Why do you need a second characteristic of them to bring about the result? The result is an automatic outcome of the first thing, of what they're being mamshech, would seem to be. BeShalom says the Rabbi, therefore, must be that what the Rebbe Rashab explains, that you need this characteristic of Chassidim, of changing their keiches tivim to keiches elikim, you need that for the hamshacha itself. Yeshleimar shahasapcha de keiches ativim. This that the Chassidim, we're in the middle of the paragraph ulachera. This that the Chassidim have not only bittul, but they have this fact that the whole idea of Chassidus is they change their keiches tivim, their natural keiches to keiches elikim. This is negeya to the hamshacha, because once you have the hamshacha, automatically you have the result. Higam b'shvil hamshachas pnimius atik. This is a necessary prerequisite to being mamshech to etzem of elikos. Why is this? L'cheira, we said before that they have bittul, their avodah is not connected with their mitzias. That alone brings about that they're reaching the level of elikos that's not a mitzias, that's higher than ishtalshalos completely, which is pnimius atik. Why do you need also that they have this avodah of changing their keiches tivim? V'inyan the kivan sha'amitas himatze yisbarach hi amitas hamitzias to kol hanimtzaim. The real truth is, what's the essence of every existence in the world is amitas himatze. Like the Rambam says again, like we said, me amitas himatze nimsu kol hanimtzaim. The essence of the Eibishter, that's the essence of everything. When it's nizgala amitas himatze, therefore, it can't be felt that there's any other existence than the Eibishter. Because if there's felt any other existence to the Eibishter, that's a stira that contradicts saying that you have over here amitas himatze. That contradicts the automatic conclusion that should be from seeing amitas himatze. So since amitas himatze in truth is the true existence of everything, lachein kishiyeshna mitzias beha'adam she'ein elikos, when a person has as part of his existence anything other than elikos, then that's a stira to the gili ha'atzmos that should result in seeing how nothing exists except elikos. Whose stira, that's a contradiction that negates lahagili the hamshachas ha'atzmos pnimis atik. And therefore, for the Chassidim, for the Chasidecha, to bring down the hamshacha of gili pnimius atik of ein seif sheberadla that we're saying in the whole maimer, really that's being mamshech the etzem of elikos, is necessary not only that they have the advantage of bittul that allows them to reach this level of elikos that's not a mitzias, that's completely removed from ishtalshlos, but you need also that they should have the aveda of not having natural keiches, of changing their nature to elikos, that through that there's nothing in their mitzias that's a stira to Gili Ha'atzmos, because any independent entity contradicts Gili Ha'atzmos. V'ayidei sheha'keiches ha'tiviyim shaloi, through that by the Chassidim is the aveda, that their natural keiches, nasim keiches alikim, become keiches alikim, diyesh leimar, could say, shazeh nasa idei shenirgash bei behelim al kapanim, that this is brought about. How do the Chasidecha, how do the Chassidim themselves accomplish this? That their nature is changed to Likus, through that they feel themselves, Shamitas imatze yisbarach, hiya metzias shaloi, they themselves feel how the true essence of the Eibishter is the essence of their existence, and therefore their nature is not something other than Elikus, is transformed to Elikus. This is what allows that there should be Hamshacha Sagili de Primis Atik, because as long as they feel independently their nature, that's a stira to Hamshachas Primis Atik. What?
Is that tzaddik?
A chassid, higher than a tzaddik.
Chassid?
Chasidecha.
No
Chasidecha.
feeling of independence over here.
It's a sabcha, it's the ultimate sabcha. This is the way that the chassid changes his nature, his keiches tivim. Instead of being a keich that expresses his nature, it's alikus. So this is all bringing us to the climax of the Maimer. Apiza yesh levar. So the Maimer built us up to what is the level that Chasidecha are drawing down, by explaining what Ashirus is, what Staka is, what Ashirus is, what's Chasidecha that's higher than Ashirus, that has to be the level that's completely removed from Ishtalshlus. And then explained why is this brought about Dafka through Chasidecha, that Chasidecha Yivarechucha, they're the ones who bring it down into Malchus. Now we could understand v'chasidecha yivarechucha shamshacha shayidei chasidecha. Hilei b'derech tefila ela b'derech bracha. Now we could understand the other point in this pasuk that we elaborated on all the way in the beginning of the Maimer, that the chasidecha have two different advantages. On the one hand, they're bringing down from higher than ishtalshlus, which is usually the koyach of tefillah, and yet they're doing it in a way of yivarechucha, of bracha. Usually tefillah is a request. A bracha that's b'derech tzivoy, that's a command, only reaches levels that are already present in ishtalshlus. But chasidecha are bringing from higher than ishtalshlus yivarechucha in a manner of a bracha, not as a request, but as an instruction.
What's the typical way to do that, Rabbi?
What?
What's the typical
By
way
being
to
a
do
chassid, he says.
that? Just be a chassid, that's it.
Ki b'tefillah, he says, why does Chasidecha have this advantage, this koyach, that they're mamshech from higher than ishtalshlus in a way of a bracha? Ki b'tefillah, in tefillah, where you're also being mamshech l'mayla mishtalshlus, but not in a way of a bracha. It's a request, which could be it won't be fulfilled, because by tefillah, shehi bakashas ha'adam, sheyashpiu le'mil mayla. By definition, tefillah means I'm a person with needs, with requirements, and I'm asking the Eibishter to fulfill my needs. Nirgash, therefore, by definition, is felt in davening, sheha'adam hamispalal einei alikus, that there's a separation, there's two separate entities, the person who's davening, the person who's making the request, and alikus, and the Eibishter from whom he's making this request. Uvibracha shehi b'derech tzivoy, with a bracha that's b'derech tzivoy, hakoyach shalei l'tzaveh su elikus shabay. How is there a koyach to be mitzaveh? Because the person is not separate from elikus, and therefore by chasidecha, who the whole hamshacha of chasidecha is because they change their nature to elikus, because they feel, like he said in the last paragraph, that the amitas himotze, the essence, the true existence of the Eibishter is the very essence of their existence. So by them, they don't have to request, which would reflect, which would indicate that there's still something separate from the Eibishter. They're able to yivarechucha, to bring down this high amshacha in a way of a bracha, because they're not something separate from the etzem of the Eibishter, which they're being mamshach. What? Not by Chasidecha, because Chasidecha is mischasedim kaina. He doesn't feel any need of himself. He's looking only because the Eibishter needs it.
Higher than Ratzon?
What?
Rabbi, is it higher than Ratzon?
What?
This whole idea is higher
The
than
level
Ratzon.
that they're being mamshech.
Do we need it? We don't need it? We were above it? Where were we holding it?
The Chasidecha doesn't have even his physical needs. Has nothing to do with him. He doesn't have a need. That's what it says. The real reason that says in Chassidus, we come to Shemini Esrei. And it's the highest part of davening. It's the highest Elam. It's Elam Atzilus. And in Shemini Esrei we talk about Gashmis. In Kriya Shema we talk about V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. In Psuki de Zimmer we're talking about the greatness of the Eibishter in creating the world. And we reach the highest point and we say Rifa'enu, Baruch Aleinu. We should have a lot of money and a lot of health. What? If the person is in the highest level, then it's Tefus Mok and Gashmis. When I was in Kriya Shema, I didn't think. I said Havaya Echad. The answer in Chassidus is Hi Anisanas. When a person reaches Shemini Esrei, that he's batal b'mitzias. He says Hashem Sfasei Tiftach Ufi Yagil Tilasecha. He doesn't feel his existence. So then the Gashmis is not for him. Then it's for the Eibishter. Then I'm completely batal to the Eibishter. The Eibishter needs a healthy person. The Eibishter needs a lot of money for the person. I'm not thinking about myself. In Kriya Shema, when I still feel a little bit my mitzias, then connecting to the Eibishter is V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. I have to think about something spiritual. I have to separate myself and detach myself from Gashmis. By Chasidecha, this is their Aveda. It's Mischasedim Kainai. Everything is for the Eibishter. His existence is one with the Eibishter, and therefore his Amshacha is Yivarechucha in a way of a bracha. Now, okay. So in the beginning of the Maimer, he brought an example to such a thing that there's a hamshacha, that's a change in the world from higher than ishtalshalos, but it's b'derech bracha, not b'derech bakasha. And the example that the Rebbe Rasha brought was from Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who said a drush, he said a Maimer, and that caused it to rain even though it wasn't supposed to rain. And the question in the beginning of the Maimer is, what's special about the example of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai? We find many stories in Gemara of Amirayim who, like Rav Pinchas ben Yair, who caused the river to split through Torah. It says, V'yesh leimar, t'zeh sheyiridas hageshamim shenimshecha yidei Rashbi. That the rain that came down through Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, ha'isaloy al yidei tzivoy. It wasn't brought about through him commanding it to rain. Ela yidei amiras Torah. He says, by Rav Shimon Bar Yochai was unique even compared to the other Amirayim. And the Rebbe pointed it out in the beginning of the Maimer, but didn't explain why is that an advantage. Rav Pinchas ben Yair had to tell the river to split. And b'kayach his Torah, he was able to tell it to split, to bring down a hamshacha from higher than ishtalshus, a change in the world, b'derech bracha. Rab Shimon Bar Yochai didn't even tell it to rain. He just said a drush that didn't have anything to do with rain, and shir amayla sinim ateva manoim, and automatically it caused to rain. Why is that better? That we said earlier in the Maimer, but we didn't explain why does that make a difference. It says the reason for this difference is ki inyan hat sivui. When could there be a tzivui? When could there be a command? When is there room for an instruction? Shayich davke keshezeh shemitzavim loy hu metzias nivdal meha mitzavim. To have a commandment, there has to be two separate entities. The one who's instructing, the one who's commanding, and the one who's being commanded. The mizem muvan, the ha'peuleis begilui shenasu ayidei tzivui hatzadikim. So from this we understand all those stories of tzadikim, like Rav Pinchas ben Yair, the tzadikim who commanded the world to change itself. Rav Pinchas ben Yair who commanded the river to split. Rav Pinchas ben Yair shetzivel anar sheyachlek al meim as meimov. Dagam sheratzin hatzadikim hu ratzin hakadosh baruch hu. Even though the splitting of the sea at that time was what the Eibishter wanted, that's why Rav Pinchas ben Yair was able to command the river to split. Nevertheless, he had to command the river. That means the river is going to obey. It's going to become in accordance to what the Eibishter wants. But that it needs to be commanded shows that there's two separate entities. There's the Eibishter and his Ratzin, the Tzaddik who's expressing Hashem's Ratzin, and the Gashmi is the world, in that case the river, that has to be commanded to conform. The world at that point, the feeling of the world is a mitzias la'atzmei, is independent and needs to be commanded. The ultimate oneness that we spoke about now in the Maimer, that it's felt and revealed, that amitas himatzai, that the true essence of the Eibishter is the essence of the world, should remove the need for a tzivui, because then there's only one mitzias. That's why by Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, now we see that it was done in a different way was because it was a higher level. By Rab Shimon Bar Yochai was Nimshach the Gili of Amitas Imatze. He didn't have to tell it to rain. He just said Torah. Automatically the world conformed with what the Eibishter wants, because that revealed how there's no two separate entities. The world is not separate from the Eibishter, and it's automatically according to the Eibishter's Ratzon. V'piza yesh leimar shalidei sherashbi amar drush bepnimiyas atera. Through Rashbi's drush, the Rab Shimon Bar Yochai's drush was in pnimiyas atera. Nimshach gilui ha'atzmus was nimshach not only the kayach to instruct and force the world to conform with what the Eibishter wants, but was nimshach this ein seif sheberadla, this level that we're talking about in this maimer, the gilui of the etzem of Elikus. The amitas himatze yisparuchu hamitzias the kol animtzar. When that level of elikus is nizgala, the etzem of the Eibishter, then everything feels how that's their true mitzias. Nothing could feel separated from the Eibishter. Then automatically the world will be in conforming with what the Eibishter wants. In that case, that it should rain. The amitas himatze
Fulfills the Ratzon, right?
yisparuchu.
The Ratzon without us asking for the Ratzon by giving over, putting this in
But it has to be nizgala, this level of elikus, that's the essence of everything. And then there's nothing in the world that could be separate.
You need the tzaddik ador for that.
You need the pnimis atera, yeah. And the chasidecha. The mitas imatzi yisbarach hi amitzias t'chol nimsam. V'lachein al yidei amiras hadrush, through Rab Shimon Bar Yochai saying this drush, through him being megala, this level of elikus, automatically everything in the world felt how that's their essence. Automatically the conduct of the world is in accordance to what the Eibishter wants, without a tzivui. Yardu hagasham me'atzman belit tzivui. So this is the advantage of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, and this is the way it is by Chasidecha. This answers the question in the beginning of the Maimer: why was the example for Chasidecha Yevarchucha specifically from Rab Shimon Bar Yochai? Why not from all the other tzaddikim? The answer is Chasidecha Yevarchucha is the level of the etzem of elikus that's being nimshach, that removes the need for atzivui, the way it was by Rab Shimon Bar Yochai. That's the only good example for this. There's a sikha of the Rebbe where the Rebbe explains that Chazal say mitzvahs b'teilis la'asid lavi. There's a lot of stira seemingly, and the Rebbe explains a similar idea. When Mashiach comes, there won't be mitzvahs. He says there won't be tzivuyim, there won't be commandments. The kiyum will be automatically, because no person will be a separate entity from the Eibishter. So then we'll be at a level that's beyond the need for a tzivui. Well, Derech said, just like it was by Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, and that's why that's the example in the Maimer. Al Derech so b'negei lehahamshacha shaydei habracha de chasidecha yivarchucha. This hamshacha of chasidecha yivarchucha that are mamshach in a way of bracha. That example for it is Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, because also she'ein tzrichim litzaveis shatia hamshacha. It's a hamshacha that doesn't require a tzivui. It doesn't come about through an instruction, through a command. Ki habracha de chasidecha yevarchucha hu hamshachas pnimiyas atik b'malchus, because it's the hamshacha of pnimiyas atik of ein seif sheberadla, the level of the being mamshach, the etzem of elikus. When the etzem of elikus is nimshach, then there's nothing that feels separate from it. Ubedarga zu ein shaykh tzivui, there's never a need of a commandment, because there's no longer any other entity that's something separate from elikus. So, Padah BeShalom nafshi. This brings us back to the Dibra Maschel. Padah BeShalom nafshi said in the pasuk, and the question was, what's the advantage of a Ptiyah BeShalom dafka? What's special about a Ptiyah BeShalom? BeShalom dafka. V'hainu sha'pdiyah, the pdiyah that's being described in this pasuk as a Padah BeShalom is a pdiyah that's betachlis hashalom v'hashleimus, with the greatest shalom, with the greatest completion, shaloi nishak shum menagid klal, that there's no menagid left at all. So now the Rebbe is explaining with what we learned in this Maimer, what does it mean there's no menagid? There's many levels in shalom, we said in this Maimer and in the last Maimer. The ultimate shalom is there's no menagid because there's no other existence b'chlal. Because everything was transformed to elikus, like it is lasad lavi, when it's nimshach, the etzem of elikus, ain't seif sheberadla, then there's the real shalom. Everything is on the same side. He says that's the ultimate Padah BeShalom. Like Mesha Haya B'Nesiya Sa'arin de Moshe, not only Shalom like it was when Moshe's Arin went in the Midbar. Shenemar al Zeh Kuma Havaya V'Yafutzoy Vecha V'Yanusu Misanecha Mipanecha. That we said earlier in the Maimer, the Arin of the Moshe was in one sense a inyan of Shalom, but it wasn't true Shalom. It had to go into the Midbar. It had to travel to the place of the opponent to vanquish them. Shabir haya b'derech milchama, that by Moshe Rabbeinu, by the Arin of the Mishkan, the bir was in a way of milchama, that it had to go fight a battle, v'lachein nishar mitzias shel oivim v'seinim, and therefore even after the bir, there remained an enemy, ala shahayu beif and the Yiviyafutz of Yanusa, but they were scattered. V'gam le'kemesha haya b'mei shleimei, and higher even than the menucha that was b'mei shleimei, that was the bir through the Arin in the Beis Hamikdash. Da'af shabir haya b'derech memela mikol makim nizbaru rak nitzetzes elu shaya b'meize inyan shel eir. That by Shleimei Melech, like we said, because it was a level of elikus that was Yisei, that was the shayich to feeling atzilus, it was only mivad and nitzetzes that were able to feel elikus. Kiyim, but the ultimate Padah BeShalom is that it reaches every level of the world. Shegam nitzetzes shenechshechu yuchlulu b'ktusha, like it will be la'asad lava, even nitzetzes that are completely removed. V'yiseirim izu shegam nivra nifal atzmei le'rakeh hapeil shebei hiya betachos ha'sa'achtos, that even the Gashmis itself will be one with Alikus, because that's the ultimate Shalom when it's nimshach pnimis atik and everything is begali, felt how it's Alikus, meshiyah la'asad, like it will be when Mashiach comes. That's another taichem berabim hayu imadi shegam bechinas rabim elu shenimsam bechinas reshus harabim k'mayim razal al pasuk nasa lashon rabim k'sever etzelis yavita hayu imadi shemisachta betachos hasachtos. The taichem berabim hayu imadi is that even Gashmius becomes one with Alikus. A new taichem berabim hayu imadi, the Rabbi says over here, that this idea of Padah BeShalom, of the ultimate Shalom, that the Gashmis itself becomes one with Alikus, that's the berabim hayu imadi, that the berabim, the Elam Hazeh, becomes with me. Zeh sheki berabim hayu imadi nesinas tam al Padah BeShalom. Shabdiya BeShalom hu dafka idei zeh shegam bechinas rabim le'rak hanitzetzes t'kedusha ki im gam eila shem bechinas rabim hayu imadi. This was the question in the beginning of the Maimer was, why is Ki Berabim a reason for Padah BeShalom? Now we understand the reason why it's Padah BeShalom. Why could we describe it as Padah BeShalom? Because there's nothing left, nothing remaining that's not Alikus. Even the Rabbim, even the Gashmis, even the Rishus HaRabbim is Imadi. Al derech Maimer Azal, shegam anshe Avshalom ispalu avur David.